Hey guys, so before getting into the episode itself, there is apparently some information that in regards to episode 1000 that's quickly that's quickly started to float around like the internet, Twitter, all that stuff, and I thought I should give my 2 cents on it, which is supposedly there's going to be some possible cuts and scene rearrangement in the final in the final product of episode 1000, and which does sound terrible on the surface. In fact, it's practically the norm with One Piece. But honestly, my when I first heard this, my concern kind of boiled down to what specifically they're planning to rearrange. Because if Toei focuses too much, on what they're going to rearrange, what they're going to cut out, whatever they're doing with episode 1000, that then it's going to just it's going to be this episode is going to turn into even more of a shit show than we would like it to be. In fact, at that if they're planning to use if they're trying to find some way to pad out the episode again, then they're going to then when it comes to this milestone of an episode, they're gonna have to fall back on just like on art and animation like being the thing to sell for this episode, and which I think from what I've understood, Toei is still planning to end the episode itself on that climactic moment of at the end of chapter 989, which I'm hoping what I have heard and laid out is just speculation and not confirmed, because if it's the latter, then the journey of episode 1000, just in pacing alone, it became a much rougher experience than I thought it would be. And when I'm hoping Toei knows to at least try and not do all of their usual tricks with this episode, because again, it is kind. I know there are some who aren't treating episode 1000 like a big deal or anything, but it is kind of a big deal, unfortunately, because it's like it is a penultimate just as chapter 1000 was a penultimate chapter, episode 1000 is also a penultimate chapter. So they need to do something in order to stand out from the manga, and because of what we learn here, my prediction about episode 1000 is becoming more and more real, in the sense where if the manga had the bigger like event setup, then the anime I think will have the bigger inciting incident, or whatever you want to call the ending of how chapter 989 ended. But yeah, I think that's essentially what we're looking at here, is a situation where it isn't going to be where I think everything having to do with chapter 1000 is going to ride on how it ends. Essentially, everything in between is going to be the complicated part. Now, getting into the episode itself, and if I'm being honest, this is definitely one of those episodes where I'm glad Toei the way Toei titles their episodes based on something that happens in the bookend of the episode wasn't because honestly, even though we may complain about the slow pacing of an episode, I feel it would have been worse if the entire episode had just focused solely on Nami this week. And don't get me wrong, I love Nami, but at least having what happened to her and Zeus in this episode was broken up amongst like so many other like events and moments happening. It gave the episode a lot more of a dynamic energy to it. Now, granted, I do think there was maybe a little bit too much time focused on Shinobu's effort to save Momonosuke. That's the one major major complaint I have with this episode, is that I really feel that they could have done a lot, that they could have shortened that scene a lot more. But at least after that, the pace really started picking up immediately after that, following Sanji's arrival on the scene to save Momonosuke. Which, yeah, given what we know about Sanji in the manga right now, let's just say I'm honestly a little disappointed. This is the only time we'll see him face off against King in like a fight. Like I think he has a couple more after this, but it isn't like isn't a full-on like one-on-one like fist like feet to fist kind of thing. Like it isn't a real from real brawl between the two of them. Like that's from say for like his battle is with Queen kind of thing ultimately, and yeah, I'm just a little disappointed that King ultimately isn't going to be the one who Sanji face-offs against as the final opponent. At least as far as we know, the only time, especially now, and like the one thing that does make this a little disappointing to me is especially now in context of their mutual heritage, it just feels like a little bit of a wasted opportunity. But just for what Toei managed to do at this moment of just of this battle of Sanji versus King, they've made it just as energetic and just as like and just as like epic in scale. Honestly, for as small as the battle is, they made it really epic in scale as it was in the manga, and I really appreciate that. Although it is still funny to see Sanji rescue Momonosuke, and then the rest of it is just him and Shinobu playing a game of keep away to prevent King from killing him. Like, again, it's a strange situation of preventing like Momonosuke from being killed, but it is kind of funny how Momonosuke is kind of being treated like the hot potato in this situation of like getting him away from King from being killed kind of thing. Like it's kind of hilarious in that respect. Also, one little detail I'm only now picking up on is just how much Sanji's natural abilities are being enhanced by the suit he's wearing. And I mean that in the less obvious way. Anyone who's read the manga, again, will pretty much know exactly what I'm saying, but it does feel like his suit is playing a much bigger role in enhancing his natural abilities. And yeah, I gotta give Big Mom this. She definitely knows how to hold a grudge and turn it into motivation. Like this episode made it clear more than anything else. She's got a score to settle with Luffy and the others, and she's not leaving Wano until the Straw Hats are dead and buried. And oh man, once again, you really gotta feel sorry for Zeus because he either gets used as a soul weapon by Big Mom or manipulated by Nami. But at the same, like in either situation, he gets used and abused. I think in some ways. But at the same time, I do like how you do see that after he is taken again by Big Mom, he is genuinely remorseful about even forcibly being turned on Nami, as it shows that, like, and it's not through anything like major, any flashback or anything, but just through seeing Zeus's reaction, you can tell that however that for however much that Nami may manipulate Zeus, like that they pretty much did form a genuine, like Zeus did form a genuine bond with her, and seeing Frankie and Brooke just ram Big Mom at the end of the episode was honestly kind of the perfect way to cap off the episode. Now, unfortunately, I do have to admit that what Brooke and Frankie did to Big Mom in this episode is kind of the start of a growing trend where Big Mom really takes a backseat to Kaido and just feels like she's there in a support role rather than being like individually as strong as Kaido. Like it's hard to explain my feelings on Big Mom, but it's almost one of those things where it feels like Oda depowered Big Mom to make Kaido look more powerful by comparison when I don't think that was even necessary, and I don't even know if that was what Oda was trying to do, but it definitely comes across that way for sure. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, Analyst Control. Be sure to hit the notification bell, subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.